Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for April 16th of 2025 is titled Halo of the Cat's Eye. So what do we see here? Well, here we see an image of the Cat's Eye Nebula, a prominent planetary nebula, and we can turn this sideways to expand it a little bit and take a look at the different structures that we see here. Now, the Cat's Eye Nebula is mostly the central portion here. That's what we're used to looking at, what looks kind of like the eyeball at the center. And that is a planetary nebula, the end state of a star, much like our own sun, as the outer layers are expelled outward and the core collapses down into a white dwarf star. Now, as we look at it here, we're seeing far more detail in the outer regions, which has been quite interesting and helps us to better understand the planetary nebula process of formation. So what essentially happens is that as the core of the star collapses down into a white dwarf star, the outer layers expand. They're no longer as tightly held as they were previously because they are farther away from the source of gravity, and any instabilities can cause them to be expelled outward into space. So perhaps this occurs over various times, that some layers are expelled off at one point, giving us this great halo that we see around here and the various filaments scattered around this entire nebula. And then later on, further layers are expelled outward. So it's really trying to help us to better understand the process by which planetary nebulae like this form. Because what we're looking at is the future of our sun. This is what our sun will eventually do. Will eventually send material and expel it out into space. Now that's not going to happen in the near future. We've got another 5-6 billion years. The sun will finally have exhausted its hydrogen fuel and begin to expand at that point. But even then, the process can take another billion years to go through the various stages leading up to the planetary nebula phase, and then finally leading to the sun's death and remnant left behind of a white dwarf star. So here an image that we get to see, and taking these deeper and deeper images and allowing us to see the detail of objects around the nebula itself, because we've seen many pretty images of just that nebula at the very central portion there. But trying to study a lot more of them and looking at the rest of this is helping to give us a more complete picture of this process. And as we study more and more planetary nebulae that are also being found to have halos like this, will help us to really track down that process and improve our models as to how the planetary nebula works. So that was our picture of the day for April 16th of 2025. It was titled Halo of the Cat's Eye. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.